we're gonna go through an information session so that you get to learn a little bit more about University of Portland. My name is Yulix Barrios. I also go by Yuli. I use she, her, ella pronouns, and I am an admissions counselor at the University of Portland. I work with a lot students that live in Oregon outside of the Portland area and some of the metro area. So I work largely kind of like on the outskirts of the Portland area, work with students in Montana and our Midwest states as well. And my colleague is joining me today, and I'll let herself introduce herself.
Hi, thanks, Yuli. Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra. As far as I also go by Cassie, I also use she, her, ella pronouns. I'm one of our assistant directors in our office, and I also have the wonderful pleasure of working with students from Oregon, particularly the Portland metro area, and then like Beaverton, Hillsborough as well. So I'm excited to be here with you and to share more information about the university. And as we do with many of our on-campus events before we get started, we like to take a moment to ground ourselves and do our land acknowledgement. So we will go through this slide together. We acknowledge the land on which we sit and occupy at the University of Portland. The Portland metro area rests on traditional village sites of the Multnomah, Wasco, Cowlitz, Cathlamet, Clackamas, bands of Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River, creating communities and summer encampments to harvest and use the plentiful natural resources of the area. We take this opportunity to thank the original caretakers of this land.
Thank you, Cassie. I'm going to continue with the UP overview. University of Portland is a small private liberal arts Catholic teaching institution. We are located in Portland, Oregon. Our campus is not in the downtown part of Portland. We're about 20 minutes away driving distance in North Portland. Our campus is nestled on a hill, so University of Portland is also known as the campus on the bluff. We overlook the Willamette River, and across from us is Forest Park, and we're located in the University Park neighborhood here in Portland. So students like the fact that it feels like that small college town vibe, but we are in Portland, so they can go out and explore the different neighborhoods, and of course the outdoors, since we are in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. The Oregon coast is about an hour away from us, and Mount Hood is about 90 minutes from us. So there's a lot of exploring to do. We have about 4,000 students in total. Most of our students are going towards that 4-year degree, that bachelor's degree. Our classroom sizes stay relatively small. 24 is the average classroom size. Because we are a teaching institution, you will always have a professor in the classroom with you, even if it's a lab class or a lecture class. Your professors will get to know you by name, and you'll be able to engage with them. We don't have TAs or graduate students teaching any classes. We are also part of the Holy Cross congregation as a Catholic institution. Our mission is to educate students holistically, educating the minds, the hands, and the heart. And we do this through a liberal arts approach. You don't have to be Catholic to attend university. About 45% of students identify as being Catholic, and we do have about a third of that percentage of our students that are very active in campus ministry. We have a lot of opportunities for students to explore their faith and their spirituality through campus ministry or the Murrow Center for Service and Justice, so many other opportunities to also engage in faith that's important to you. We have a Jewish Student Union, a Muslim prayer room, non-denominational faith group, so a lot of opportunities. If that's important to you, you can definitely partake in that. Religion on campus is always an invitation, not an expectation. Moving on, I wanted to talk a little bit about our academic programs. So we have a College of Arts and Sciences. We also have a School of Business, School of Education, School of Engineering, and a School of Nursing. The last four are known as our professional schools, and they are direct entry. So if you want to major if your major falls under any of our professional schools, you will have a direct entry admission into that school. If you don't know what you want to major in, you'll be in the College of Arts and Sciences, and that's completely okay if you're not sure what you want to study just yet. About 10% of our students don't know what they want to major in, and most of our students figure out their major if they're undecided by the time they're sophomores. You have a core curriculum, you can start taking classes in the core curriculum if you don't know what you want to study. All of our students will gain hands-on experience as well. Some popular opportunities or places to intern are going to be with Oregon Health Science University, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Columbia, Intel, the mayor's office in Portland, City of Portland, different law firms, Wieden and Kennedy, Tillamook Ice Cream and Cheese Factory. So a lot of opportunities for our students to get that experience. Oftentimes students are required to have a certain number of hours. For example, if you're in the School of Business, you have to have a paid internship as part of a graduation requirement. Nurses will graduate with over 800 hours of clinical experiences. And in another example, School of Education majors will graduate with about 1,500 hours of classroom experience. So a lot of great opportunities. As I mentioned, we do have a core curriculum, so all students will take classes in the liberal arts, so fine arts, political science, or social sciences, literature courses, philosophy, theology, so a lot of courses that will be compatible to your major, and they are meant to be spread out throughout all 4 years. And lastly, our campus life. So we have a great diversity here on campus. A lot of our students are from out of state, but we also have a huge population of students from Oregon. You are required to live on campus your first year, and you'll start to create those friendships, maybe in the dorms, and through your hall, in the classroom. So you will find your community here on campus. Most students live on campus for 2 years in the dorms, and maybe they might live in the neighborhood their junior and senior year. So there's a lot of opportunities to choose your living situation while you're a student at UP. There are a lot of different clubs too that you can join. And even though we are a smaller school, we do have Division I athletics. And soccer is a really big sport here on campus, so go Pilots. And then lastly, we have a lot of study abroad programs that you can partake in. You can go basically anywhere around the world. So if that's something that interests you, please let us know your freshman year. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to my colleague, Cassie.
Thank you so much for that overview. Okay, everybody, now that you've learned a little bit more about the school, maybe you're a little curious about how to apply and how to make that process happen. So I'm going to share some information with you about the application process. One of the most important things to know about applying to University of Portland is that we are what's called a rolling admissions school. So the sooner you apply, the better. There's going to be a really big theme of doing things earlier rather than later to get yourself in a good position when it comes to applying to the University of Portland. Some really nice things about the rolling admissions process for us is that all of our programs are direct entry. So those programs that were mentioned earlier, like College of Arts and Sciences, and then the professional schools like School of Nursing, Education, Business, and Engineering, those are direct entry programs. So if you are interested in nursing, for example, and you put that down on your application, as your intended major, you will be reviewed for the School of Nursing, and if you are accepted, you will be put into the School of Nursing starting your first year. And again, that process kind of starts with how you indicate that on your application, so that's a good thing to know. With the rolling admissions process, we are non-binding, so whenever you hear back from the University of Portland about whether or not you've gotten in, you don't have to give us a yes or no until May 1st of your senior year. So really allowing you that time, especially if you are applying early on, you're going to give yourself time to get that acceptance letter, to figure out things with your merit scholarship, your financial aid, and then ultimately maybe visit or communicate with a student or communicate with a faculty member about a program that you're interested in. But we want to make sure that we allow that time for you to make that decision, so anyone can wait until May 1st of their senior year to give us that final yes or no. To complete your application, there are going to be a few things that we need. So first and foremost, it's that application itself. So we do accept the Common App. So all it is going to commonapp.org, creating your account. And the Common App is nice because it's an application that is accepted by over 800 schools in the US. So it's a good way to fill out one application and send it to a lot of different places. And UP is one of those places that you can send it to. We also have our UP application. So this is just an application that lives on our website that is personal to us. But please do either application, right? You don't have to do both, just do the one that works best for you. There's absolutely no preference on our end. So again, you have the option of doing the Common App or the UP app. In the application, you are going to see the section, the writing section, which includes your essay, right? And we just like to point this out because of how important this is to your application. Make sure that you're putting time into this essay, that you're editing it, that you like what it says about you. On the Common application, you will have the opportunity to select from a list of prompts. And then on the EP application, it's a bit more open-ended, but if you feel more comfortable with answering a prompt, then you can, just write an essay based on one of those prompts from the Common App, but you can copy and paste that into the UP application. So just make sure that you work really hard on that essay piece. For pieces that come outside of the application, those will be your official high school transcript and the letter of recommendation. So these need to come directly from your college counselor, from your high school, or just a school official in order for them to be considered official documents for us. So again, they can be sent electronically, they can be sent to your admissions counselors via email, and that's going to be the easiest way for us to add those to your file. This year, some really big news that we had for our students is that we are test optional for the class of 2021. This truly means optional. So for those of you who were not able to take a test due to COVID cancellations, or maybe you took a test, but you're not super comfortable with your score, you don't have to turn your scores in. And this is something that you will indicate on your application for the University of Portland. So just know that it is truly optional. This is not going to impact the way we look at your application. We will use other pieces of your application to consider you for merit and things like that. Now, of course, if you do have your scores, if you like your scores, again, you're welcome to apply with your scores, but know that it is totally optional and up to you if you would like to provide your scores for us to look at as a part of the review process. Just a reminder of some important dates that we want you to keep in mind. So we are currently accepting our applications. We opened up at the beginning of this month, September 1st. And we would, again, kind of going with this theme of applying earlier rather than later, we would really encourage our students to apply by our recommended deadline of November 15th. So that's going to put you in a really solid position to hear back with plenty of time to, again, maybe wait for your financial aid, talk to students, talk to faculty members, and make that decision. Our final deadline, because we do have one, is January 15th, but again, I would really encourage you to stick to that November 15th date instead. But know that January 15th is there as our final deadline. And then, of course, May 1st, National Decision Day. That is when you will have to tell us yes or no. So let's talk a little bit more about the financial aid process. So for financial aid, we talk about it kind of in three different categories for University of Portland. The first category that I'll cover is the merit scholarships. So merit scholarships are something that you are automatically considered for upon applying to the University of Portland. So you do not have to fill out something separate. It's nothing extra to make sure that you can get considered for merit scholarships. This is something that happens with your application materials. So again, if you are eligible for a merit scholarship, you will hear notification about this with your acceptance letter. So you'll get kind of a couple good pieces of news in that letter. And then this is a renewable scholarship for students. All you have to do is maintain the 2.0 GPA and stay on track to graduate in 4 years. And you will see this scholarship renew every year that you are at University of Portland for the 4 years. A low range on the scholarship is about $11,000, high end is about $27,000, and again, that would be per year and is determined based on your academic profile and pieces that we put together from your application to the University of Portland. The second round of financial aid that we like to talk about is the FAFSA, the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And this is an important application that we will ask and encourage all of our families and students to do, because this will put you into consideration for anything else that we might have available, both institutional funding and of course the federal and state specific funding. So FAFSA opens October 1st. Again, kind of similar to our rolling admissions theme with like doing things earlier rather than later. You really want to do that with the FAFSA as well. It's best to get this done so we can start putting together a financial aid package for you as soon as we release an admissions decision. So the timeline on how things would work, if you are accepted, you'll get that notification and you'll get that letter. And once we initiate an acceptance for our students, that's what's going to push the financial aid office to create a financial aid for a packet for a student if they've already submitted a FAFSA. So you want to do this again sometime in October would be wonderful. And this, again, we use this information to put together a package that will include things like grants, which in the same kind of vein as scholarships, grants are pieces of money that do not need to be paid back. And then you'll also see things like federal pieces like the Pell Grant, and then other state pieces that also come in the form of grants. And then of course your student loans will be included in there as well. Of course, those things are optional and you don't have to take them if you don't want to, but they'll be there just as an option. The third round of scholarships, and I would argue probably the most important, is applying for these outside scholarships. Outside scholarships are scholarships that are coming from different organizations, not University of Portland. Maybe they're associated with your place of work or your family's place of work, your parents, your supporters, your guardians, or just different organizations that you find or that maybe you've been connected with through volunteer opportunities or anything like that. But these are organizations that they want to give you money to go to school, and that is one of the best ways to pay for your college education. One nice resource that we have is on our financial aid website. We've created a database of outside scholarships for you to help you in your search for outside scholarships to aid in this process, because then things can get a little scary if you just Google scholarships for college, right? So we tried to start you off right in this process by putting together a database. And again, this is something you can use whether or not you're considering University of Portland, but it's a nice resource to have to help you in that outside scholarship search. And what I would say too with the Oregon students specifically is that there are some really wonderful opportunities. A couple of things that I want to mention are the OSAC scholarship that goes live pretty soon as well, but the OSAC is going to be an application that you fill out that will consider you for numerous types of scholarships that are only eligible for Oregon residents. So that's going to be a really important thing for you all to do. You'll get put into the pool for things like the Ford Family Scholarship, which is a really big ticket item. And a lot of students who receive the Ford will use that to come to University of Portland because it is such a great amount of money to put towards your college education. Also things like Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber, they have scholarships for students, and for University of Portland, if you are awarded a scholarship from the Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber, we will match that dollar amount at University of Portland. So it's a good way to stack those scholarships. And then the other one that I will mention that's coming to mind right now is the Black United Fund of Oregon. So this is another scholarship opportunity with University of Portland. It's $12,000 a year. We usually have about 3 scholarships to award. So if you have more questions about that, we're happy to help you. But again, with these financial aid pieces, the first one is that merit scholarship. The second one is you want to make sure to file your FAFSA, and then you want to apply to those outside scholarships to make sure that you are decreasing the amount of money that you and your families have to pay for your college education. Now that we've talked about the application process and the financial aid piece, we want to make sure to just highlight some folks in our office. So as we mentioned before, my colleague Yulix Span and myself, we all work with students here in Oregon. We do have another colleague of ours, Martin Williams, who also works with some students here in the state of Oregon. So we want to make sure that you get to see his information. You'll see him listed on that top left-hand column here. And then of course, anybody here is happy to help you. But know that for Martin, Yolixpa, and myself, we work with students here in Oregon, and what that means is that we also read your applications. So make sure to take note of our email addresses if you see that we are your counselors, and we would be happy to connect with you during this process.
Awesome. And then if you would like to find out more about University of Portland, the sort of the student side, we have social media, a lot of social media platforms. You can follow us on Instagram's very, very active, especially for seeing what our students are up to one of our current students, Maggie, an out-of-state student from Illinois. They actually run the Instagram profile or account, so you can go ahead and follow us and see what students are up to, maybe who Maggie is interviewing, and then just see different tours. You can even see a campus tour on there. So stay tuned if you wanted to find out more via our social media. And thank you so much for joining us for this session. Just want to make sure that you feel prepared as you continue on your college search. And again, feel free to reach out to Cassie or myself if you have any questions. Have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.